Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This morning we have Werner Kruger, who continues with our media engagements for the week. Thank you so much, Werner. Good morning. Could I get an indication, please, on who would like to take first dibs? Thanks, Ashfaq. This is our round 12 post-match press conference, which we are doing a couple of hours after the game. Thank you so much for being accommodating, members of the media. Thank you. Ashfaq, go for it.
Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's well. Werner, congrats on a great win yesterday or last night. I mean, after the 3 defeats, you may have been wondering what's around the corner next, but the guys pulled it through.
Yes. First of all, morning to everyone. Yes, obviously it's a great result on the road. I think it's Newport's always a tough place to come. You know, they've ran pretty much all their opponents close, and you know, not a lot of them has taken 5 points away. So yeah, it's obviously a very positive result for us. You know, especially after the couple of weeks we just had the Christmas game. So yeah, great start to the new year for us.
You guys were 17-0 up in that first half, but they managed to fight back. What was said at halftime to change things around, because the guys showed good character in the second half, and then the forwards did the job again.
Yeah, I think we had a good start to the game, and then all of a sudden they came back. I think it was due to our own lack of exiting our half. You know, we didn't kick out 1 or 2 balls, and then they ended up scoring that try around the front of them all. So I think that really we just said, listen here, we need to manage that territory battle a little bit better and get out of our half.
Thanks, Ashfaq. Carl Fabian.
Werner, congrats, but I think as forward coach, you must be extremely pleased with the way your pack, and especially the front 5 performed yesterday.
Yes, we said before, and myself and Coach Russell up front, we said, listen, away from home, it takes a special performance, and especially it starts up front. And very, very glad and good to see the boys, fronting up, especially away from home, where it's not always easy to get, your mauls and your scrums going. So it was a great evening for the boys, and like you say, always good to see them going forward, and may it continue. I think this is a crucial week for us now, to back up what we did on the weekend.
And if I may, is there any new injuries?
At the moment, there's no real injury concerns. There's obviously a couple of sore bodies, but there's no major injury concerns.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Carl. Lloyd Bernard.
Thanks, Lunga. How's it, Werner? I'm just wondering if you could speak to the disruption of the changes before kickoff. Obviously, in terms of the head coach and the fly half, which are 2 quite important roles on match day. How disruptive was that in terms of the late fly half change, and then also just not having Jake at things like pre-match and halftime chats? How did you approach that, and how much of a disruption was that?
Yeah, obviously, it's a bit of a disruption. We planned the whole week with Chris, and obviously Jake's involved and everything. So it is a major disruption, but all the credit to the team and to everyone to stepping up, and everyone filling little roles and making it work on game day, and especially for Johan stepping back in to fly off. He's obviously played there last week, but he's supposed to be at the back. So just a little bit of reshuffle. But you think, like I say, all credit to the boys, for everyone just switching on and staying focused at the task at hand.
And in terms of the coaching, Werner, were there messages coming in from Jake to you guys who kind of took charge? Was it yourself? Was it a combined effort in terms of who took charge in the coaching box?
No, it was definitely a combined effort. I think Jake's obviously our leader, and with him not being there, everyone stepped up, and it was a good combined effort from everyone, not just from the coaching team, but from the team as well.
And Luga, sorry, I'm hogging it a bit here, but is Jake okay? I mean, is he fine? Is Johan fine? And were there any other, how much of a disruption was the flu as a whole? Were there other guys struggling too?
No, I think luckily it's only Coach Jake and it's Chris. Johan is fine. So both of them are fine. They are going to travel back with us, and both of them are feeling a lot better this morning. And they kept food and everything in, Chris especially. So yeah, so good to go back with us, and then continuing their recovery back home in Pretoria, and hopefully they'll be all healthy and ready to go soon.
Thanks so much. All the best.
Thanks, Lloyd. Simon Rickert.
Thanks, Lunga. Good morning, all. Werner, yes, I'm joining the crowd saying congrats with your win, and what a good win it was last night. I've got 3 questions. Firstly, I just want to check, you've made mention of the wind in the stadium. Now, it's difficult for us while we get pictures and comments on this side to make a determination about the influence of that wind. How bad was that wind? And taking into consideration, I specifically had a look at Johan's line kicking versus his set piece kicking, or his kicking for poles. He was accurate at kicking to poles, but he was obviously not accurate towards his line kicking. Was the wind such an influence that it influenced him, or was it a question of him misjudging himself a little bit more?
I think I think it's a little bit of both. I think in the stadium the wind almost was hidden. You couldn't really feel it on the pitch just behind the stand, and then all of a sudden, as soon as you kick it and the ball goes up in the air a little bit, all of a sudden the wind catches it. So that's probably a little bit of a learning school for us as a Bulls, first time being at Rotting Parade. So just to manage that wind a little bit better, and maybe take a little bit better off, kick a little bit closer, and because all of a sudden when you kick it and the ball goes just above the stadium, all of a sudden there's a gust of wind and it's just holding the ball up. And like you say, when you were kicking straight down the park from poles to poles, all of a sudden the wind wasn't that big a factor, so it almost felt like it was just hiding behind the stand a little bit.
Thanks. Regarding the scrums, you've also made mention of the scrums, and we all watched in awe the way that the Bulls transferred themselves from the last 2 games, especially in the last 2 derbies. What changed as far? I know, obviously, it's derby matches, and derby matches they've got a certain pinch to it. But what changed with this absolutely successful scrums that you had last night?
I think as well the scrums we've been building now for from the start of the season, and I think the boys are progressing well. And I think like you say, the local derbies has got a different factor to it. I think we scrummed well in Cape Town, and then definitely let ourselves down in Durban. I think we are far better scrumming unit and forward outfit than what we put on display there. And then this week with the travel, and there wasn't a lot of time to train, so it was more just of a mental switch, and taking us back to what makes us good. And so we just pretty much spoke of it, and then there was obviously didn't have a lot of time to train, but we did what was necessary for us to turn it around. So but proud of the boys.
Last question, thanks, Werner, is Coach Jake made mention, and it's well published, that this is apparently, quote unquote, the month from hell for you as the touring squad. This win, how much does this win count towards the morale of the team, as well as taking into consideration the background statement made by Jake, quote unquote, the month from hell? Does it change the psyche of the players, the motivation of the players, and if so, to what extent does it do that?
It's one of those things. It's always going to be easier to get on a plane with a couple of points in a bag. So yeah, definitely. It's a tough month for us at the Vodacom Bulls. I mean, we're traveling. We're in the UK now, back home for a week, and then France, and then back to the UK. So I mean, it's pretty much international travel every week. It's not even just away game. So it is a tough month, and obviously, elated to start with a 5 points win away from home. So sets us up for hopefully for a good month that is to come.
Thanks, Werner.
Thanks, Simon. Leighton Koopman.
Thank you, Lunga. Werner, I hope you can hear me and the noise is not that bad this side. Just on the team that played yesterday, is it close to the team that you would like to pick going forward, especially for this month of health Al getting that consistency going? I know probably Jake would have been best to answer this, but you are now here.
I think, barring injuries and, there's obviously, we're going to have to keep everyone fresh, like I mentioned on Friday or Thursday as well. So, it is a tough month, and being on the road and on planes pretty much most of the time, we're going to have to rotate the boys and keep everyone fresh. But I think, barring injuries, that is, we're going to try and play as much of our players as possible throughout this, next coming block. So, yeah, I probably would say there's probably a guy like Lionel that's still at home. So there's one or two guys that can possibly still come in, but like I said, we need to rotate everyone and get everyone fresh. That pretty much 4 weeks on the road is not ideal. So yeah.
And then just lastly, you sending anyone for flu shots before you travel again this week, or are they sorted with that?
No, I think it's luckily it's only Chris and Coach Jake that is struggling. So it's obviously it's major disruption for us in the week, especially at the back end of the week. But it's only two of the squad. So it's not, as a group, it's not a major concern. But obviously for those two, we want to get them healthy and ready to go as soon as.
Thanks, Leighton. Ashfaq?
Werner, you mentioned earlier about the scrum, saying that you went back to what you know best, but perhaps overall for the team as well, how they played much more direct perhaps than in the last few games. Got some good gain line advantage with a strong ball carries close up, and that allowed the space for Forsen and them to do their magic. Is that the approach that you want to see going forward as well, because you really got a good reward from there?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think it's again away from home. You're never going to get a good result if you're not physical and you're not very direct. And I think we did that very well. Like you mentioned, in our carries we were very direct and made some good yards, and especially in defense as well. We managed to not give them any real go forward or any space to move. So that's really positive. And then obviously that's something we need to build on and hopefully still improve on that as well, to compete at the back end of the competition.
And just a word on Johan Goosen, Werner. I know you're the scrum consultant, but Johan coming in like that and then producing, I know he missed the touch with a couple of penalties there, but he had some wonderful runs and also just seemed to play like the old Johan Goosen we know.
I think it's always going to be tough, for any player to come back from a long-term injury, and like you mentioned, slowly starting to see him back to his best. And like I said, it's a quality player, and obviously great to have a man of his experience to step back into fly-off role and take charge of everything for us.
So the final one from me, Werner. You played on the Friday night, and your next game against Exeter is on Saturday at Loftus. So at least there's an extra day for the travel. How's the travel looking, and when do you hope to get back to Pretoria?
So we pretty much packing the bus now as we speak. So we'll get on the bus now, and then obviously it's another long travel for us back. So it's the traveling is never going to make it easy. There's been a lot of mention about it in the press as well. It's something that possibly needs to be addressed going forward, especially for us as South African teams. If we really want to compete in this, Europe competition, and want to do well, we need to spend less time on the road. Even though the games are away, I think there's a lot that can be better managed for us as players and player welfare just within that. So hopefully, I think we'll probably be home somewhere tomorrow afternoon. So it is a long, 28, give or take, hours for us on the road now.
Thanks, Ashfaq. Maybe just whilst we're speaking about the travel, so the team, what's it now? 10 to 9. So the team leaves by bus for Heathrow, and they will get to Heathrow at 1:00 in the afternoon. At 10 to 3, the flight departs for Doha, and they expected to arrive in Doha around 1 a.m. At 2:20 in the morning. The flight from Doha departs for Joburg, and they should arrive in Joburg around 11:20 in the morning. That's the travel itinerary. Cool. With no indication of more hands, we're going to let Werner go so that he can get onto the bus. Enjoy the bus drive, and we'll see you at Loftus tomorrow afternoon, nice and fresh.
That's it. Cheers, everyone. Have a good day. Thank you very much.
Safe travels.
Guys,
Good luck.
thank you.
Cheers.